Welcome dear viewers. So today we are going to assemble the weapons for the OZ-06MS Leo Grunt suit. Now most of the parts for the weapons that you see laid out on the work mat here have been painted, except for the beam saber. Both the beam saber's blade and its handle I have not painted. Now we'll start assembly of the weapons with the shield. This is the outward facing half of the shield. What you're seeing is the inside half, which attaches to a piece which I've painted in metallic colors. This not only forms a sort of an inner framework for the shield, it also has four symmetrical parts which protrude out from the front facing side of the shield, like so, and you can see that four rectangular shiny sections. Those are from the metallic inner framework that I attached to the shield. Following this, we'll attach a ball joint piece, which is a form of a handle which attaches to the arm, and that's the shield. Now we move on to the gun. Which its front end attaches to the barrel like so. Then you have what looks like an ammo barrel, which attaches to the side of the gun. So that's the gun complete. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I did nothing to the beam sabers, as in I didn't paint them. Granted, I did some panel lining and perhaps top coated it, but actually painting it with a new color, a paint color, that I did not do. The assembly of the beam sabers is very simple, very standard, and there are two for the OZ-06MS Leo Grunt suit. So that's the Grunt suit's weapons assembled. We move on now to placing the assembled weapons onto the hands of the Leo Grunt suit. Let's start off with its right hand and place the gun onto the right hand via a hole on its hand. It slots in nicely to the gun's handle. Now there's another way that the Leo can wield that gun, which I'll show later on. I've just noticed that I have placed the hands wrongly, meaning I've placed the left hand on the right arm and vice versa. So let me now just switch it to their correct position, like so. Then we'll proceed to try out that gun attachment again. The fit is much better and it looks better too. So that's the Leo wielding the gun one-handed using its right arm and hand. As I mentioned earlier, apart from wielding the gun just single-handedly on his right hand, as I'm showing here now, the Leo can also wield this gun using both hands. And in fact, that's a much better look and a much better pose, using him to wield the gun using both hands, but I'll show that later on. First, we will have a look at the Leo wielding the gun single-handedly as well as the other weapons first. Now first, let me remove the gun and try out a double saber wield. So you have each saber attaching to both hands. Looks not bad. In fact, it looks kind of cool. So this is a Leo with a double wield pose, using both the beam sabers as a weapon. It can also wield the saber single-handedly, but it's best done with the shield attached to the other arm. In this case, the beam saber is held on by its right hand, and the shield attaches to the left shoulder via a peg and a hole like you see here. So that's the Leo wielding the weapons, specifically the saber and the shield together. So now let me show you how the Leo can wield the gun using both hands, which is a much cooler look in my opinion. So let's get on with it. Before we even worry about the gun, we will first have to remove the shield from the left shoulder and reattach the left shoulder armor piece. Now, in order to put the gun onto the left hand, I'll first have to remove the armor piece from the left hand and place the handle of the ammo barrel into that left hand and close it back up using the armor piece which I had removed earlier. Now, this is just the beginning of the process. I will still have to place the handle onto the right hand . It looks like I've gotten it on the wrong way. I'll just have to place the handle onto the right hand first before placing the handle of the ammo barrel onto the left hand, which is easier to do technically than the other way around, which was what I was trying to do. Now then, let me close up the left hand again with that armor piece. So the left hand is technically holding on to the handle of the armor barrel, while the right hand is the trigger finger holding on to the trigger, and that is the Leo with a much more cooler double-handed gun pose. As you can see here, the Leo can stand perfectly well with its own 2 feet, stable. So let me lie it on its back. In my opinion, this double-handed gun pose is the coolest of all the poses that it has with the weapon, with the one with the shield and the beam saber coming in a close second. We move on now to a 360-degree view of the OZ-06MS Leo mass-produced mobile suit. it is a Grunt suit that was first seen in the Gundam Wing series. First up is the Leo without all its weapons. Now this is, as I mentioned earlier, is a fully painted build. So everything you see on the Leo here has been painted. I felt it necessary to paint this high grade kit because otherwise it will look very plasticky due to a lot of plastic warping on the surface of the molded parts. Let's move on now to what I believe is the second best looking Leo pose with weapons, the one with his saber and shield. While the poses I'm doing here is fairly standard and you could say boring, the Leo is just standing straight up. For example, here is just holding the shield on his left shoulder and saber on his right hand without any real dynamic pose. But I'm doing so to enable you to have a look at the kit in terms of how it looks fully painted, wielding the weapons in a simple pose. As I mentioned earlier, this is what I believe to be the Leo's second best weapon-based pose, the one where it is holding the shield on his left shoulder and the saber on his right hand. Now let us move on to what I believe is the Leo's best pose with weapons, where he wields a gun with two hands. That being said, I guess the best way to pose a Leo is to fully paint two. Pose one with a shield and a beam saber in his hands, and one like here with both hands wielding a gun. While you see the Leo being posed only in a standing boring-like pose here, shortly I will try to pose the Leo in a more dynamic pose and end this video with a few words on how this build has been like for me, saying that this is actually the very first Bandai 144 scale high grade kit that I have built from their Gundam Universe scale model kit product line. My overall experience with this Bandai High Grade kit has been an extremely pleasant one. I've enjoyed building this kit. It is a very simple build, and not only is it simple, it's a very fun build, and there aren't that many parts that makes painting this kit too much of a chore. So painting this kit didn't take too much of my time as Gundam kits usually do. And from my experience of Bandai's kits based on the Gundam universe, at least from what I can observe, they usually do a good job when it comes to these basic Grunt suits. They tend to design them very well, as they have done with the Leo. And this is a kit that I highly recommend not only to beginners but to experienced modelers as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this video on the Leo. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day and thanks for watching.